All right, and we're back for another episode of Influencer Profits, and our guest today is Sam Lee Mohan. Now, Sam is a business strategic professional. He's a leader. He's a motivator. He's founder of Global Business Consultants and creator of a really cool software that really helps you with strategic planning. It's called Strat Plan. I can't wait to talk about that a little bit, how it can help you as our listeners be able to really help your coaching clients and be able to serve your clients at a deeper level. So, Sam, thank you so much for coming on, and welcome to Influencer Profits.
Holly, Chad, it's an absolute pleasure. Absolutely love what you guys are doing. And just hopefully whatever I have to say can add some value to all your listeners. Super excited to be with you.
Yeah, awesome. I have a feeling that you will. So share a little bit about like what it is that you do exactly, and then how did you get there?
It's an interesting journey that I've been on, but to start off with a little bit about Global Business Consultants. Slightly misleading with the name Global Business Consultants. We don't actually do consulting, but we developed a proprietary software. It's actually one of the world's most innovative, fastest growing brands of software called Strat Plan. Strat Plan actually encompasses many businesses tools that have been around for decades. But what we've done is actually we've simplified all these business tools into a cool software that any business, regardless of type, regardless of size, can actually use it to plan the growth of their business. But whilst you're planning the growth of your business, you can actually plan to become more efficient. So you don't have to, strategic planning traditionally was labeled for large corporations, big organizations with a lot of capital to use to engage consultants like McKinsey's or Deloitte or Jacobs, for example. But these organizations, whilst they're very good at what they do, they provide small and medium-sized businesses with a strategic plan that is generally too high priced. And also, it's very complex. It's hard for you to interpret it as a small business and to actually have it in actionable items that you can, on a day-to-day basis, follow. So what Strat Plan does is it guides strategic thinking for you. So it enables you to start with very simply understanding the vision of your business and moving all the way to day-to-day activities that you can align to your staff or align staff to your activities. And ultimately, you achieve an activity, you achieve your strategic objective, you achieve your strategic objective, you achieve your business objectives. When you achieve your business objectives, you achieve the vision of your business. So just a little bit of history, about it's now going on 6 years. Myself and a couple of like-minded individuals, we were just frustrated. We were sick and tired of seeing small businesses go under. I've run a few small businesses myself, many small businesses over almost 2 decades. And I was just fed up of small businesses failing. So we decided to put all of our knowledge and intellect into a software package that anybody, regardless of your skills, regardless of your academic qualifications, can use to grow your business. And today we are almost 8,000 subscribers globally. Our largest user base is in the US, followed by the UK, and third, believe it or not, Australia, which I thought Australia would have been number one, but the US is number one.
That's awesome. Because Americans are always looking for easy ways to do things, and we all need accountability. And so what really gave you, well, go ahead, did you have something?
No, go.
So what really gave you the idea, like you said, your small businesses were failing, you guys were sick of, small businesses. When I look at this, I see the really ideal software for like coaches and consultants to be able to use as well, which is who a lot of our listeners are, to be able to help them with their programs and help them keep their clients even accountable. Is that something, am I correct in saying that?
Absolutely, and well spotted, a fantastic question. Hence the name Global Business Consultants. So what we've done is we've created the software, and then we've created a partnership program where business coaches, consultants, or academics that spend thousands or hundreds of thousands on getting an MBA that wants to run their own business, or existing business coaches, consultants, etc., that want to add strategic planning to their current offering, they can partner with us. And because we have such a global brand, these smaller business coaches or consultants, they can actually use our brand as global business consultants, and they can market their offerings. You're absolutely spot on. We have over 3,000 coaches and consultants globally that are partnering with GBC that use our brand and our software to manage their own clients. So they would go in with their clients, they would help their clients craft strategy, and roughly we see every 6 months, the coach would go back to their clients and evaluate how they are tracking against that plan. So it adds one of the greatest value adds for business coaches and consultants is StratPlan cuts down the planning process from weeks to days. So essentially, what a business coach would be spending a week, 2 weeks, or even a month crafting strategy for a small business or their clients, with StratPlan, it takes 2 days to do it. So a significant value add.
So you talked about, owning several businesses kind of, through this period of time, and you got together with your friends and decided to launch something. Like what has you go, I'm good, having these other businesses. I'm guessing, were they by yourself or did you have partners in those?
The business that I'm most proud of is actually when I was in school, and when I was growing up, I grew up in a very humble family, humble beginnings. It was very, very basic. We didn't have much, but we had everything, if that makes any sense at all. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times, with 5 siblings and a single income, my dad was a furniture salesman, and if he didn't sell any furniture, he wouldn't earn. So the best he could do for us was a pair of clothes, a shirt and a trousers and shoes for the entire year. So a lot of the things that we needed that kids generally want, you had to find other ways of making money. So you can go out and buy a pair of sneakers or buy a shirt or whatever it is that you wanted. So every Thursday we at school, it was called a Beggar's Day. So essentially what my model, and this was going when I was just 13 years old. My model was I recruited about 5 of my somewhat good friends, and what we did was so essentially they worked for me essentially, and I was quite popular, a bit of a sportsman in school, so I'd offer them a little bit of prestige in the school. And what they would do is on Beggar's Day, they would actually go around collecting, a pound or a shilling, whatever it is. And at the end of the day, we'd cook it, and 10% of all earnings would be mine. And then what I'd do is I'd take all of that and I would buy cellular phones. That time cellular phones just entered the market. And I would then sell on those cellular phones to people in remote communities that couldn't make the trip to a town to actually buy mobile phones. And generally the profits were fantastic. We'd make almost 200% profit. But then I would go back, and all these kids that actually pooled their money and gave me 10%, I would then give them a return on their 10%. And that was my first real business venture. A lot of that actually put me through most of my school, so I managed to pay my school fees, etc. out of that. Out of school, I then learned over the internet how to design websites, and I rode the dot-com bubble for a little while. So I was doing affiliate marketing and built 10 websites, and ranked quite highly on Google affiliate marketing websites. And the first real big break after the websites and lots of failures in between, significant failures in between. I then embarked on Landtech Solutions, which was a geographical a surveying company where I landed a multi-million-pound contract, and that was the first real break that I had. But I realized after a few years that that business had a ceiling, and I was looking for something that had no ceiling. And after almost 5 years after Landtech Solutions, I actually handed the business over to my partner in London, and I headed over to Australia. 3 years later, I came up with the idea of StratPlan, because I've been helping businesses strategy, and decided to build it into a software system. And today, this is where we are, a owner of a tech company, and thriving in a growing company.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. So let's talk. I would like to talk about the strategic planning and some ways that maybe our listeners can simplify the strategic planning in their own business and with their clients. So could you give us a couple pointers on like the easiest way where to get started with a strategy, like getting their planning together, and what are some ways that they can simplify? Like you said, it could take people months or a month or weeks, which seems like crazy. But what are some ways that we can simplify that process?
Yeah, so let's take StratPlan as an example. So when you craft strategy, it's fundamental that any business, you must have a vision of what your business looks like when it's finished. When it's finished, when all said and done, what does success look like? And that's a long-term aspirational vision. Understanding what that vision is, it helps you focus, and it also helps anyone that's working in your business to understand that there's longevity in your business, and they will actually thrive to help you achieve that vision. Any person working in your business, they want some level of comfort knowing that the business is going to be around for the next 10, 20, 30 years, or for as long as their working career. The next important thing is to understand what is the mission of your business. And there's a fundamental difference between your mission and your vision. Your vision is long-term, it's aspirational. Your mission is the here and the now. What do I do today? Who are my customers today? What do they look like? And what are the products or services that I offer them today? The next thing to understand is, what are my business objectives? So what is my financial objectives? What is my talent and teamwork objectives? What is my business process objectives? So essentially what I'm talking about there is the balanced scorecard approach. So the balanced scorecard is one of the most globally recognized frameworks for any business to set these objectives. The next thing to do is understand what are the things that you can't control. So the things that are outside of your control, but you need to know these things so that you can plan, you can somewhat plan for them. The fourth thing to do is to understand your internal environment. So what are the strengths of your business? What are the weaknesses? What are the opportunities? What are the threats? And then finally, when you understand, when you know what the external uncontrollable events, internal controllable events, and what your objectives are, you craft strategy. Now, strategy is, you have a defensive strategy, you have offensive strategies. So for example, who are your competitors and how are you going to defend your current position against your competitors? The next thing is, how do I grow? So what are the opportunities and how do I entice customers to my business? And at the same time, if I'm going to entice customers, and if customers are being shared amongst competitors, you also have to be ready to defend. Because, for example, let's take a little corner shop, that's coffee shop, for example. If you go in one day and you decide, I'm going to put in a sign outside that says 99 cents a cup of coffee and a donut. Now, the reality is that people that generally center in around that environment are customers that are shared amongst the businesses within that area. So if you're putting out that ad, you're generally going to steal a client from somebody else, a customer from somewhere else. So you have to be prepared for retaliation, because the next door neighbor may say, well, if you're going to go 99 cents, I'm going to put something for 79 cents. So understanding your strategy enables you to go offensive, but also don't be, if I can use the term, don't be naive in thinking that your competitors are not going to retaliate. And that's especially true for businesses that are in highly competitive industries. And then finally, it's once you develop these strategies, you must assign daily tasks. So on a day-to-day basis, what are the activities that my team is doing, and is it aligned to my strategic objectives? If they are not aligned and somebody's doing it, then there's inefficiency. You shouldn't be doing something that's not part of the strategy. Or if they are doing it and it's not part of the strategy, it allows the business owner to think, should that actually be part of my strategy? So it enables decision making. And the way StratPlan helps in this entire framework is, so over the past 2 decades, we've been into small, medium, and large businesses, thousands of them, and we know what questions to ask, and we know what impacts one business generally impacts 80% of all other businesses in that industry. So in StratPlan, we've developed a series of checklists and sheets, etc. So essentially, when you type in your vision statement, you have a simple checklist, and as you tick it, it tells you whether the strength of your vision is high or low, and it prompts you on how to improve that. So you don't have to go in knowing exactly what a vision statement looks like. StratPlan will do the thinking for you. In terms of SWOT analysis, in terms of uncontrollable events, in terms of strategies, there are thousands of them in StratPlan that you will just have to choose from. And finally, when you get to the task manager in StratPlan, StratPlan turns from strategic planning to day-to-day task management. And in that way, you have a software tool that you can monitor the performance of your staff. Staff can give performance against activities to management. You can be in Bali as a business owner. Your team manager can go into StratPlan, can update StratPlan, and with click of a button, send an email with a nice tracking dashboard that tells the business owner exactly what the performance of the business is. And that's all in StratPlan. So it's a simple tool that starts from vision all the way to activities.
So Sam, so you decided to go this model of having coaches and consultants like almost like use your brand and like your guys' strength to go out there and explain that decision to go that route, and like and how would a business, because there's a lot of businesses like, you know, we're looking at like the next level of us, right? Of like where we are and what's the next level of us. And we're like, well, you know, there's probably a lot of coaches and consultants out there that want to work with impact driven people, but they don't have the frameworks, they don't have the structure, the processes that we have for helping people, you know, attract clients online and do launches and do these things, right? And so like, how do you like work that through your head of like getting that started, and how would like our people want to like start setting up their business to move in that direction?
Fantastic question, Chad. In terms of the greatest invention in business is the franchise model. The franchise model actually enables any business, whether you intend to franchise it or not, it gives you the tools to work on your business and not in your business. So when you're starting out, you have to do both. You have to work on your business and you have to work in your business, because you are the cook, you are the TA that's preparing all the vegetables to make the food, etc. But at the same time, you have to work on your business as it grows its brand, as a network, as you talk to people about building it. So what a franchise model does is it gives you very clear, concise processes that you can work within. So tried and tested processes. So what gave me the idea to actually build a partnership model is franchising. So what we've done for almost 2 decades, we've been going in and helping businesses, pro bono, by the way, we've been helping businesses to grow. And the way we've been helping them grow is through strategic planning. And as part of strategic planning, we've, we, we, we've, um, we've developed their processes, we've locked their processes in with ample room to improve. But that gave them a very clear way of doing business. So we had all their staff with a clear, concise way of doing it. So what we've done is the way we were doing business. So how we would attract clients as a business coach, as consultants. So how do clients consume information? Which networking events do they go to? Which LinkedIn groups do they join? What Facebook groups are they on? What type of adverts do they respond to? When they respond to your advert, how do you answer the call? When you go to talk to them in a business, you present to them about strategic planning. What do you tell them? So all of the presentations, and then once you've locked the deal, you've closed the deal, you then have strat plan in our case, and strat plan guides the strategic thinking. You develop a strategic plan for the client, and then there's the aftercare. So what we've done using a franchise model, we documented exactly how we used to do business and what we call that partner operating manual. So when anyone partners with us, they get a partner operating manual, and it tells them step by step how to attract clients, how to turn leads into paying clients, how to do strategic planning, and then finally, how to actually grow that business. Now, there's a lot of successful coaches, consultants that don't need the GVC brand. They actually have bigger brands than GVC. I'd love to partner with them year. But what they partner with us for is StratPlan. So they just need a software tool to add to their existing toolkit to service their clients. And my advice to anyone running a small business to become efficient, with or without StratPlan, with or without GVC, is think franchise. It's the best, most innovative business model ever created in the modern era. Actually, it was developed centuries ago.
Nice.
But that's the advice I'd give you.
That's awesome. All right, I like that. So Sam, what's the next step for you guys? What's the vision? What's the next 3-5 years looks for Strat Plan, and how are you guys executing that right now?
Yeah. So when it comes to business, the one thing I learned is never stand still. So your vision is never achieved. Your vision always has to evolve, and set a vision that's unattainable. So it's always going to keep you moving forward. It's always going to motivate you. You never arrive, essentially. GVC's vision enables us to keep going. Our vision, exactly like Henry Ford, when he said his vision was a Ford in every garage, our vision is Strat Plan in every business. And that's it. So that's what we thrive for. And the way we achieve that is through business coaches, consultants, small business owners, large organizations. We've built a software that can be used by any business, any type, any size, in any industry. So what's next for us is constantly engaging with our customers, constantly understanding what their problems are, what their pain points are, and evolving Strat Plan. So I think Strat Plan, the next evolution of Strat Plan, will evolve into chatbot. So organizations or even small businesses that use StratPlan. You'll have multiple licenses. So all staff that's on StratPlan, they can actually use StratPlan to communicate. It's similar to Basecamp's Campfire, where you can have project teams that are sharing information about specific projects or specific tasks, and you can capture small notes, thoughts, etc. You can actually do that at the moment in StratPlan, but it's a little bit clunky to do that. I would like to turn it into a new module that enables, it's sort of like social media for businesses. It shows social networking for your company, if you like.
That's pretty cool. That's actually something that we use Trello a lot for our project management, but we use it actually specifically in our program. So when somebody gets our 90-day program, they get several Trello boards where it's step by step, and the processes are kind of like, you basically, you have your check boards and you have your swipes, and you're working on this, and then when that's done, check, and then that you move that over, and it creates a kind of, like most courses and programs, it's really just like, okay, go do this, watch this video, where ours is really almost holding them accountable, because there's a done by when, and that it creates like way more of a cool process, I guess.
Yeah, and it teaches them organization and has that project management, where that's something that they can take with them throughout their whole business. So
Totally.
Something that I always like to ask, it sounds like you've been a business owner for quite some time. That's just what you do. And, I know especially online, we work with a lot of online consultants and coaches and people who are out to make a difference in the world and utilizing the online space is, it looks all shiny and pretty and rent the Lamborghinis and travel to Bali on the weekends and, all of this fun stuff. However, I know from experience, I'm sure you can relate that it's not always hunky-dory. So I always like to ask, like, would you say your biggest failure was so far in your journey, and then how have you been able to overcome that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I've had so many failures, I lost count of them. With regards to StratPlan and GVC, a lot of businesses, a lot of theory out there, and all, most of them are well-intended information, but it can be misleading. And you hear a lot of success stories, 6 months overnight tech companies getting purchased by a multi-million-dollar, multi-billion-dollar corporation. Somebody's got paid out $100 million because it came up with this cool software, cool tech, etc. That's the 0.001 percenters, and most of us fall in the remaining 99.999%. Tech company, generally people would say it will, give it 3 years, and generally you go through that honeymoon phase where everything is great, your vision is coming to life, you built your software, you're getting out there, you're getting a few hits on Google, etc. A few clients are signing up. And 3 years later, you're looking at it and your revenues are not quite what it's expected. You're starting to lose faith, you lose a lot of sleep, your capital is diminishing. And I've come to a point in my journey, and saying this to everyone that's listening, is that that's normal. It's actually the normal pathway. I've come to realize that whilst it's good to hedge your bets on 0.001 percenters that you can have overnight success, or in 3 years' time you're gonna have significant amount of success. The reality is, for me, that's a 5 to 7 years before you can actually see true success. It's only 5 to 7 years when you start to see that success. And I think for me, what failure would be, I'm fortunate enough to be a highly self-motivated person. I've always been that way from childhood, that never accepts a no, or it's not possible, etc. Always trying to make things happen. And the greatest success, I'm sure lots of people hear this is actually now a cliche, that there's never failure in learning. As long as you learn, you will succeed. And I'll tell you what, I've lost almost millions of pounds in some startups, etc. And the one thing I learned is, when it gets to that 3-year period and it's just not happening and you've spent everything, is never let the sulking overpower you. You have to push through and you have to keep going. So to give you an example of what that means, 3 years ago, things would be not taking up as much as we wanted it. We've invested a lot in the software. We've done a lot of upgrades, etc. People were signing up. They were doing the trials. So we knew that people wanted our software, but they just weren't converting from sign-ups to paid customers. So we were going to a trial version, really digging the software, love it, good feedback, etc., but just wasn't converting. And we started to lose hope. And generally what will happen is you'll sit and not do anything, but just be really sorry for yourself and think that, the planet or the galaxy or whatever superpowers or the ether or something like that is going to snap their fingers because you are in sulking mode and you're feeling sorry for yourself. It's just going to turn over. It never happens. You have to there's a bit of luck, there's a bit of faith, have faith, but you've got to push on. You've got to get up. You've got to get in front of the computer. You've got to do those blog posts. You've got to do those Facebook ads. You've got to tweak your ads, see what's working, see what's not working. Sometimes cancel all your ads. Just put one ad up, let it run for a month, see if that's working. If it's not working, get that off, put out another one. It's not a race, it's a journey. And the advice I'll give startups is, don't quit your day jobs just yet. You go through it and build your business in such a way that you can use surplus cash from your existing job to fund the way the business can operate autonomously. So we've created GDC. We created it thinking about, or we positioned all our processes, all our day-to-day activities, just as though the business was done. It was finished, what it looked like when it was successful. And we've automated, we've outsourced all of our marketing, we've outsourced as much as we can. We don't have high overheads of big corporate offices, far from it. Most of our board of directors are working globally in different parts of the country, different parts of the world. And we don't have high overheads at all. So tomorrow, if GDC takes a dive and we have little to none revenue, we can sustain our entire business with as little as $10,000 a month. We can keep going for as long as we have to. And as a sole owner of GDC, tomorrow I can put strat plan pricing for 99 cents. And that's my defensive strategy to anyone that wants to compete with strat plan. And we did that because we can. That's how we designed the business to be self-sustaining.
That's really cool. So you basically have things planned. There's actually one thing I heard from Richard Branson that was really smart. Is he's like, expect the best, but protect your downside. And so the idea of keeping the overhead of the business, because you guys could have easily bought a building and got like 100 employees and like went that way, but it's like you'd almost think you guys were strategic or something. But in the sense of like, you have planned it out where this can crush it and really be able to handle really high amount of, customers and consultants, with like the planning of like being able to allow it to scale like crazy, but like be able to the business could live off of $10,000 a month is really, really impressive. Because that just doesn't really happen in the big, like big business, like at the scale that you guys are at and going. So congratulations on being able to do that. So Sam, is there anything else that you would want to leave our listeners with? First things first, I guess, is where can they find the software and where do you want to send them?
Yeah, it's super simple. Just log on to www.globalbusinessconsultants.com.au, and on our landing page you can read more about StratPlan. Highly recommend sign up for a trial. It's very simple. Sign up with your email address, and you're good for a 30-day trial. And I'm just so excited about Chad and Holly's podcast that I'm going to offer the first 100 people that leaves a comment on your blog, on your website, and likes your page, free software for a year.
Oh wow! Thank you. We're going to
So
comment our own blog.
So I'll go ahead and link that below for people to go and check that out and to utilize this. It really is a neat like software and the capabilities of what it can do for your business. Sam, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're in Australia and it's like going on midnight at your time. So any last words of wisdom you'd like to leave before we wrap up?
Listen to your customers, solve their problems, create value, and most importantly, don't forget why you're doing this to begin with. Have fun. It's a journey, not a race. Enjoy it.
I love that. Thank you so much, Sam. And listeners, thank you again for listening to another episode of Influencer Profits, and we will see you next time.